last night Mark was saying, there's so much invisible work that was going on for you and some of the guys during the Dipper series, between series. What was that like for you? Is there anything unique about your high intensity stuff that you had going to be prepared for last night?
Yeah, definitely. Just like I said, a lot of prayer, a lot of faith, a lot of just being able to stay ready with the high intensity guys, and big shout out to that group for helping me stay prepared. I didn't realize it till last night that I didn't play kind of real minutes for like 5 weeks, so just the ability just to stay professional, just come in and get good work in, and I give a lot of credit to those guys who helped me stay ready, and the coaches.
What does it mean to you, Kenrich, when a coach who hasn't, abused you in meaningful minutes for forever, all of a sudden says, "Hey, we're in a tough game. I need you to go."
Yeah, I mean, it just shows his trust in me as a player and what I can bring to the team. That game needed some energy, and that's just what I tried to bring, energy from the jump as soon as I got out there, and just try to make a couple plays to get us going.
Is that something you saw from the sideline that they knew? I mean, you went in there knowing that, hey, the team's kind of flat or whatever. That you must understand that.
Yeah. Like first, second quarters kind of flat. Just try to change the dynamic of the game, and get a run going and get the crowd into it.
Kenrich, Chet has talked at different times this playoffs about spending personal time with you, and especially after the game one in the Denver series, like you sort of imparting some wisdom to him, and telling him about that free throw situation and to get back in there. What role have you tried to play for him in these playoffs specifically, and what do you see change for him late in that game last time?
Yeah, not just him, just that's been the whole team. But for Chet, just being there for him. I have experience in the league, and I've been through ups and downs, and and I know the mentality you have to have being in the NBA, and playing at the high level that we play at. So just trying to give him wisdom, and just I mean he kind of changed the game as well last night. With his energy, getting fouled, offensive rebounds, blocking shots, and that's something that he does, and we're gonna need him to do, moving forward.
From what you observed, like, how would you describe Chet as a critic of himself?
Yeah, he's very self-critical, but it comes from a good place. He just wants to be great. He puts a lot of time into this game. He loves his game. He's truly like one of the young guys that really has a passion to play this game, and it shows every night. Even him battling through injuries, his first year and then this year, with his hip and everything, and he could easily set out, this year, and but it shows his love for the game and passion for the game, and he wants to get better. So those are all positives, and something you want from a young player like Chet.
Kenrich, yesterday, Jada was really complimentary of the work you put in behind the scenes, and says that, as an older guy, you're not even really required to do that, but you just want to lead by example. Where does that mindset come from, where you think it's so important to lead by example?
Well, is this something that, I was taught when I was very young, just to put the work in, no matter, who's watching, if anybody's watching, it doesn't matter. Just continue to put the work in, come in every day, be a professional, be a good teammate. And those are some of the things that I try to do daily. And man, like I said, I'm just super grateful for the opportunity to play and to make an impact on the game.
I think you're
Bruce
first.
was just saying how this group is very special because each guy genuinely happy about what everyone is doing, whether it's getting some in and someone being up for an award. What's that experience been for you being a part of this group and it just receiving that support from the rest of the guys?
Yeah, it's been great. We all got the same goal, and that's to win a championship. So when you collective as a unit, we all have the same goal. It makes your job so much easier. Everybody is willing to give their 100%, 110%, and willing to sacrifice as well. So, we we're taking it one game at a time, but you know, in the end goal, we all want the same thing.
Kenrich, you hadn't played for a while. Your first shot, I think, was your elbow pull-up Paul Pierce shot.
Yeah.
Is that something you kind of had in mind when you checked in? Like, I want to get that kind of comfort shot, or
Nah.
instinct?
Not at all. It was just instinct. It was like end of the shot clock, and I just tried to. I think we swung the ball a few times, and just got to make a play in those moments. And you know, I've been putting the work in, and so just go out there and just do it.
Kenrich, going back to the preseason, you were really high on a guy like Cason Wallace. I mean, you even compared him to a bit like Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
How have you seen his game sort of evolve on both ends this season?
I mean, you guys see it. He has become one of the fan favorites of the team, and he deserves that. He's a very, very great player. You know, plays both ends well, plays the right way on offense. Defensively, he's just a game changer. You know, he can guard the best of them. And for a young guy like that, 20, 21, I don't even know if he's 21 yet. Maybe 20. Like, it's impressive. And then he carries himself very well, you know, for his age. You would think he's like a 30-year-old vet the way he carries himself. So just seeing, you know, him have success, I'm extremely proud of.
Tonight we expect Shea to be named MVP as a teammate.
Yeah.
What is his value to this team?
His value is his confidence. His confidence that he has in himself, and the confidence that he instills in every one of his teammates, and including the coaches.
Anybody else? Thank you, Kenrich.
Right, y'all. Appreciate it.
Jason, what were maybe some of the cracks or openings that you were seeing last night as playmaker? A career high 7 assists for you in the game.
I feel like we were in gaps. You know, I caught it in the gap. Teammates couldn't, you know, finding them behind the defense.
You've had to evolve so much of your game coming from, you know, being a point guard growing up and through college. You're setting screens and you're rolling to the rim and doing all sorts of stuff. You know, what's it like for you to have some more of these playmaking opportunities like that?
It's fun just seeing my development, you know, at this level. You know, I started at one point and now, you know, here today. So just seeing the growth in my game.
You were part of a couple of small lineups for you guys out there. What works for what has to happen for you guys for those lineups to work?
We have to rebound. You know, we have to, you know, play fast. We got to be aggressive. Everything that we showed, you know, last night, just amplify it, you know.
Cason, can you tell that it's deflating for the other team when you guys are just nonstop defensively? Like, can you tell that it gets to your opponent?
Definitely, you know, that just means we got to, you know, keep doing it, keep stacking those possessions, go even harder at it. Because at this point, you know, nobody's going to, you know, give up too early.
Could you tell last night that it was frustrating for Minnesota? That they were getting frustrated?
Not really, because, you know, they played, you know, pretty much the whole game. They fought as hard as they could. But we just, you know, kept stacking good possessions, and, you know, it just gave us more life.
Cason, you played 33 minutes. I think it's only 10 times in your whole career you played more than that. What do you think's the key to getting more and more minutes? Mark seems to rely on you more and more the deeper we go in the playoffs.
Just keep doing what I'm doing, being present, you know, playing as hard as I can, for as long as I can. You know, coach and, you know, teammates trust in me. I trust in myself as well. So just keep having confidence.
What's the key for you to get sure when you came in, you're used to being a guy in most places, and how did you fit in? Was there some humility you had to grab with that and trying to fit in when you're used to being the guy previously everywhere else?
Definitely. That's the thing about the NBA. Everybody at one point was the guy. It's just how you adapt to it and you find yourself within the league. Doesn't mean you can't grow, you know. You can still start at one place and become something better the next year and the next year. So yeah, just being a man, then, you know, finding yourself at this level.
You have some big athlete cousins. Did you lean on them on how to adapt to that, or was there somebody else when you came in and you sought advice from?
Not family, you know, I just came in and, you know, my brother, he was in the G League a few years before I got here. So seeing how hard he worked and, you know, his drive and his motor, I saw that in him. So I was pretty confident that I could do the same thing at this level.
What was it like seeing Chet have those possessions on both sides of the ball last night and just the emotion he was playing with?
It was big time. You know, he was getting after it on both ends, like you said, making winning plays throughout the whole game. That's what we needed.
You addressed like just how happy you guys are for him, what he went through this year, and you know to have that second half that he had last night. What that was like for you guys to watch.
Yeah, that's one of our brothers. So, you know, anybody's success is our success. What he's been doing throughout the whole year, you know, whether he was on the court or not, you know, just being high spirits and, you know, cheering us on when he wasn't on the court. And then when he's on the court, you know, us cheering him on because we've seen what he's been through and, you know, he's made a big impact for the team.
Case, you were just kind of talking about the mindset that you had coming in, and you said in the past that you really were just trying to observe early on when you got here as a rookie. How have you felt like that's evolved and, you know, your relationships have evolved to this point, you know, almost 2 full years later?
I feel like guys are starting to notice me a little bit, you know. Like you said, the first year I was trying to figure out what was going on. This year, you know, I figured out, you know, what it takes day in and day out, how to play at this level. So, you know, I keep building relationships on other teams, on my team. So, yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, just on that personal side, I mean, like, seems like you and Isaiah Hartenstein have like a really fun connection, and, you know, just some of those things that they developed over, you know, pretty short period of time here. What's that like for you?
Yeah, that's my little homie right there. You know, that's my dog. You know, from day one, you know, we kind of, you know, clicked, and, you know, we're brothers now. You know, we go out there every night and fight for each other.
He said he called you Magic Johnson last night. That's a sign of maybe he was surprised at the 7 assists. You got any other skills that still a little hidden that you hadn't unveiled yet?
Yeah, I have a lot to my game, man. I got a lot. But yeah, as the games go on and whatever the game brings to me is what I'll show.
Does being close to Dallas, what does that mean to you? And what is the support like from there?
A lot of love, a lot of support. You know, it's a 3-hour drive, so family, friends, they make that drive pretty often. Yeah, a lot of love coming from that way.
A left-handed dunk on Jokic. What kind of feedback did you get from people in your circle about that one?
They all loved it. You know, they want me to do it again.
MVP's gonna be announced tonight. Any plans to watch that together?
Yeah, I'm gonna be with my boy, trying to, you know, support him throughout the whole process.
What did you guys feel as a group, or did you see in that second half that change that you that can carry over to game 2?
The energy that we play with, I feel like as long as we have that mindset and that level of intensity, then, you know, we'll be fine.
Anything else for Queso? Thank you. Thanks.
Picks.
Mark, when you looked at the game and see what your drives, what did you like best, and what's maybe some opportunities to improve in terms of getting to the rim, the way you guys, I think, got 54 points in the paint?
Yeah, I thought in the first half, like I said last night, I thought we were just a little clunky. I thought some of that was just trying to gain some rhythm against a new opponent. We've been playing the same team and really the same style for 2 weeks, and they have too. You know, it's the same thing, but it just took us a minute to calibrate to the game, and I thought we, in the second half, were much more decisive in our attacks really everything they threw at us, different lineups and different schemes. And I thought we gained some traction there, but we'll need to continue to improve as we go through the series.
Coach, as you guys have grown as a group and experienced new things together, what has been your messaging about to the team about one game does not make a series?
I think just first of all, building that mindset in the regular season, getting present in every single challenge, getting present every single day. The past doesn't influence what happens on this night. So a team's record in the regular season doesn't predict whether or not they win tonight. It's you're back at 0 and the better team will win. That's obviously like a playoff seed that we tried to plant early. And now it's like understanding how these series unfold, looking at every series in history is very different. No two series are the same. They all unfold in different ways. And the best thing you can do is just stay very present and try to win the next game in front of you. The next game in front of you is the most important game of the series always, and just trying to ingrain that, like I said, regular season, previous seasons, and then, it becomes kind of a familiar theme when it's time to bring that up in the playoffs.
Mark, with that, would you expect the disparity from yesterday between how much you guys were trying to score in the paint versus how much it felt like you were eliminating Minnesota to shoot almost exclusively from 3? Would you expect any game in the series to resemble that?
I mean, I never would expect any game to resemble another. I thought looking at it, their 3-point quality was pretty good. I think it's one of those things where if they make a couple more of those, it would look a lot different. That's just part of, shooting variance. What I liked last night was we weren't great offensively, but we manufactured the game, as I've talked about in previous series. We played great defense. We did a really good job in transition defense specifically. We did a pretty good job on the glass, not great. And then offensively, like we were on the offensive glass a little bit. We had a nice blend of our mid-range stuff and our paint attacks, our threes, albeit a few of them, we didn't shoot a lot of threes, but they were high quality and we shot them well. So I thought we did some good things there.
Are you guys able to sense how deflating it can be for the other team with how intense you guys are consistently on the defensive end?
We really try to focus on what we can control and not depend on that. May happen, but we try not to depend on the emotion of the opponent or a weak moment by an opponent. I'm not speaking specific to Minnesota. I'm just saying in general, like we just are always going to assume our opponent is going to play at their best, and Minnesota's best is really good. And they didn't play their best last night, and so we need to prepare for them to play their best and not assume anything other than that. I think that's what puts us in the optimal competitive mindset in a series.
You mentioned the quality of their 3-point looks. Obviously, they didn't shoot them well. Is that quality a price you're willing to pay to pack the paint and to clog driving lanes, or do you feel like there were things that you guys didn't do as well as you want in terms of getting back out to shooters?
I mean, they shot 50, so obviously there's a mix of that. I thought there's some where it's the cost of doing business. It's like, somebody has the ball, you're loaded up on them, they throw it to Reed, you fire out with a contest. He can make those shots and make a lot of them. We've seen him do that many times. He'll probably do that at different times in the series, but you kind of, if the closeout's hard and your hands up, you live with that to a degree. There were also some where, coverage breakdowns, breakdowns in the shell, we break down and they get a great shot because of that. I mean, that's the stuff we really got to clean up. And that's why I say we have to prepare for them to play their best, because at their best, we know they can score in bunches. They can gain a lot of confidence. They can make a lot of shots. We're aware of that. And we need to continue to improve and sharpen our blade if we want to be able to pace with that as the series goes on.
You shot well from 3 last night. Was it just that night, better looks in the series? Or?
There's always variance, like I thought, like I said last night before the game, I thought the looks in our last series were pretty good, well above our threshold, and we didn't shoot it great in the series. Last night we didn't get a lot of them, but we shot it well. I liked the threes we took last night for the most part. We got really, really good ones. The guys stepped in them with confidence. That was good to see. And I thought our blend last night was really good. It wasn't like we were trading out high quality threes for lower quality shots. We were in the paint a lot of the night, and that was a good thing.
you mentioned adjusting on the fly at halftime. I'm wondering, before, when you only have 24 hours, how much time you actually have to fill them with info of what is coming, and then how you're able to adjust at halftime, because it seems like a pretty mature response to do it in game rather than needing the end of the game to see what it looks like on film.
Yeah, I mean, the preparation part of it on a short turnaround, the biggest mistake I think we can make is overcoaching and causing any sort of overthinking. I mean, last night was really about establishing a baseline in the series, getting like some big rocks in place on both ends of the floor that we knew would be important, but not, get too much in the weeds on anything on that short of a turnaround. We wanted the guys to play free. I thought the adjustment we made at halftime was just like familiarity more than anything. It wasn't like a magic, potion. It was just like, we hadn't played against them, in months, and we had just played against a very different opponent for 2 weeks. And so that was the biggest adjustment. I think was just like, we got a little more familiarity, made a couple, points, but nothing, groundbreaking. And the guys just did a great job of rolling with the game.
Well, your willingness to and desire to play all kinds of different guys in different situations, really go deep into your bench. Is that something that you adapted to because of Thunder culture? Sam liked that? Or is that something you'd do if you were coaching Leominster High School?
It depends on the depth of Leominster's team. I have there's a lot of guys on the team I trust. And that's where it comes down to, is like, trust a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys whose strengths are impactful. Obviously, Kenrich was a story last night, but like, Kenrich helped us win a lot of games this season and has been a very effective player for us for a long time. And so I have a lot of trust in him, and as much trust in his readiness and professionalism as I do in his game. And I trust his game a lot. And so it really starts there. There's a lot of guys on the team I trust. There's a lot of guys on the team whose strengths I think can help us. And like I said last night, I think energy is a resource, not only in the regular season with an 82 game season, but in the playoffs when, you're playing every other day. We just played our, however many games we've played, 12th or whatever many games in the playoffs. You need energy, and guys can give you energy. Jay Will in game 2 of the Denver series, he changed the energy of that game. K. Rich last night changed the energy of that game. And I think giving them the opportunity to do that is just a move that we're willing to make.
Speaking of Kenrich, just what did you like from what you saw from the small lineup that you rolled out there? Obviously, that's a pitch that you've thrown multiple times throughout the season, but particularly yesterday. What did you like from?
I just thought the energy they played with, the pace they played with, like, those lineups have trade-offs. You're going to be smaller, and there's going to be some gory plays when you play small. The longer you play small, but the way you net out is usually with activity and energy and pace and speed, and understanding what our strengths are there and playing to them. And I thought, we weren't perfect in those lineups last night, but we got those things into the game, and it netted out positive for us as a result.
You had, when you're looking at Wallace pre-draft and even once you guys got him, I mean, did you envision that he would kind of immediately be able to play this type of like defensive ace role that wasn't necessarily what he did at all?
I mean, Sam was on that one pretty good, like in the draft part. I don't want to take any, I get briefed very late in the process, and he was definitely somebody that Sam had his eyes on for a long time. And he was on that one. He was on the character of the person more than anything. Like, he knew that guy was a rock as a guy, and he was going to be a great professional. A lot of the skills that they identified in the evaluation process have really shown up. I didn't, I met him in the draft process. Where I really was impressed with him was like training camp of his rookie year. Like, there's certain guys that they're out there and they're young and they look like they've been there before, and he was one of those guys. He started his first preseason game, so he had a very, very high baseline, as a young player, and he's only gotten better, but he was good right off the bat.
How difficult do you think that is for a young player who clearly seems could do some other stuff out there, but kind of is willing and able right away to fit into the role that y'all need to win?
It's a good question for him. I think, that's the power of a team. Like, we've got a lot of good players. Most of the guys on our team could do more, including Shea. Like, as much as he does, he could do more. He plays in such a way that allows the other guys to breathe and allows the other guys to go. But there's literally any player on our team. Kenrich Williams is a great example of that. He probably could have helped us in these other series, and we just chose to go with other guys. Cason, it's not minutes, but it's role. Dort's a guy that averaged 17 a game in the NBA at one point in his career and is now taking a more narrow role. There's no one on the team that's not parking some part of their own ceiling as individual players in a vacuum for the good of the team, but that's what makes them special is their willingness to do that. And I think it's had it's been a huge contributor to our success.
Mark, you talk a lot about trust throughout this roster. What's sort of the process of those guys earning your trust, or is trust the default?
A default to some degree. It's not all or nothing. It's like it's trust in their strengths. You know what I mean? Like it's really that. It's not trust or no trust. It's like trust in what they're doing, you know, and when they play consistently to those strengths, it builds trust very quickly. And so that's what I would say. And that's where I think they do a great job is they play inside of their games. They have individual styles of play that are built around their strengths. And when they play to that consistently, it becomes very easy to trust them. And then it just becomes like, okay, Kenrich Williams has these strengths. Here's a series where we think that might be able to be helpful. You know, we know he's going to do that, you know, so it's easy to put him in that situation.
Mark, before the quarter Chet had, when you look at that versus, you know, the situation she was trying to put himself into the first 3 quarters, like what did you sort of see change and how much do you feel like he was personally, I don't know if victim is the right word, but personally found himself trying to navigate like, oh, we're not in the Denver series anymore?
I don't know. I mean, no one was really themselves in the first half, I didn't think. Other than K. Rich, he was himself in the first half, but he didn't play in the Denver series. For the most part, we just weren't in like a great rhythm. We weren't, it was a little bit muddy, and we had to kind of grind through it together. And then we kind of found some traction in the game, but I can't overstate enough. I know the stakes are high in all these games. The attention is high in all these games, but when you play, I keep saying the amount of games. How many games we played? This is 12. Yeah, we've played 12 playoff games. Like, that's a lot of games. And over the course of 12 games, no team's going to be perfect. No team's going to play perfectly. No player's going to play perfectly. And it's easy to react to that after an individual game, but that's just the reality of it. And we just want to be consistent through that. We understand that's the case. We just want to throw our best punch every night, let the chips fall where they may.
Chet, yesterday, he said something. He said, I was out there stinking it up in the first half. The game's not going to reward you for that. I imagine to you that sounds like him. He always seems to cite his relationship with the game as like a living, breathing thing. How far do you think that's carried him? Do you sort of sense that on it at all, that he views it that way?
I definitely sense on the daily that he is his own biggest critic. I mean, he's the kind of guy that'll play a great game and be like, hey, great game, Chad. And be like, yeah, but I gotta, you know, whatever. You know, he's very, very hard on himself. He has a very high bar for himself. He has a very high vision for himself, but to his credit, that ambition doesn't make him delusional. You know, like that vision drives him to be better, but he's very self-critical. He's very accountable to that point. And I think that's why he improves so much and why he's able to, you know, get himself to the level he got to last night. Is probably sitting there at halftime, not satisfied with how he played, and he played much better in the second half.
Last one for Coach. Yeah, go ahead.
Just with Shay talking about selflessness, really, of the whole group. When you're in the middle of a series like this, how much can you enjoy or try and celebrate as announcement tonight as a top 3 for MVP? And then how much do you think the whole group has enjoyed his individual success as the team continues to grow?
I mean, we'll let the announcement be what it is. I'm not going to project anything, but one of the things that makes these guys special, in my opinion, is the way that they root for one another. There's a genuine and authentic support that they have for one another. They all have these like individual careers. It's easy to see yourself as an independent contractor in the NBA because the business can be very cutthroat at times. But these guys really, you know, prioritize the locker room, the relationships inside the locker room above that. And it's very, very impressive. And he does that, but everybody on the team does that. So whether it's an individual player that's up for an award, they support each other there, or whether it's like Isaiah Joe played 5 minutes a game or something in the Denver series and gives us great minutes last night, they support each other there. That's what makes this team pretty special just from a personal standpoint.
Thank you, Coach.
Yep. Thanks.